Stress is the main trigger for gut problems. Tip 1. I would really love for everyone to listen until the end and try to understand that. And if they didn't understand it the first time, that they listen to the video 2 or 3 times. Because I believe that so many people suffer from what I'm talking about now. And if everyone understood that, then there would be so many fewer problems with intestinal diseases in our society. Okay. So, well, that was the introduction to this video. Imagine that you're under pressure every day, whether it's psychological pressure at work or constant physical stress. What you hardly notice is that in your gut, a silent but intense drama is taking place. Chronic stress can throw your microbiome into chaos, attack the gut lining, and trigger a chain reaction that affects your digestion, immune system, and even your mood. So your overall health, of course. And in this video, you'll find out how ongoing stress literally affects your digestive tract and how you can counteract it with simple methods. So I can only say, stay tuned until the end, because there's a hopeful message waiting for you. Not just for you, but also for your gut. And for me, the gut is always the basic requirement to actually live a healthy, joyful life. I only do that when it's healthy. Maybe you already know, our gut is home to billions of bacteria. It's an extremely sensitive ecosystem that supports our digestion, our immune defense, and even the production of vitamins. But chronic stress completely throws this balance off. Studies show that with prolonged stress, the diversity of beneficial gut bacteria, such as lactobacillus, decreases. While pro-inflammatory germs increase, the microbiome becomes impoverished and the protection for our gut diminishes. The gut barrier becomes permeable because at the same time, the intestinal mucosa also suffers from stress. So the barrier that normally prevents harmful substances and germs from entering the bloodstream. The reason: stress diverts blood flow to the heart, brain, and muscles. The gut simply gets less blood flow. The mucosal cells can no longer regenerate. The mucus layer becomes thinner and gaps open up between the cells. This is the so-called leaky gut syndrome, meaning our gut becomes permeable. It develops because of this, and through these gaps, foreign substances can enter the body. The result: inflammation in the gut. The body responds to the damage with a defensive reaction. Immune cells in the intestinal wall become active and release inflammatory substances. And the result is an irritated intestinal mucosa, which becomes even more permeable. The immune system is then in a constant state of alert, and the chronic inflammation can spread throughout the entire body. So a vicious cycle develops. And what else happens? Digestion is also disrupted. Sugar and fructose are no longer processed properly. A damaged mucous membrane also means that the absorption of nutrients no longer works properly. Sugar is particularly affected here as well. Many people with stress symptoms experience bloating, a feeling of fullness, or diarrhea. Often this is also due to impaired fructose absorption, because fruit sugar needs special transporters in the intestinal wall. And these exact transporters can lose their function or be produced less under stress and inflammation. And stress and sugar, that's just doubly stressful. And it becomes especially dangerous when stress meets a diet high in sugar. Studies show that this exact combination damages the gut barrier especially severely. Sugar stays in the gut, where it is fermented by bacteria and intensifies these symptoms. People who suffer from fructose intolerance notice this especially clearly. Yes, and here's another often overlooked aspect. Most people don't know that over 90% of the happiness hormone serotonin is produced in the gut. But for that, you need a healthy mucous membrane and the right bacteria. And stress disrupts exactly this process. And that can explain why many stressed people not only have stomach aches, but also low mood, anxiety, pain, and sleep problems. The gut then simply stops sending good signals to the brain, and the gut-brain axis, which we know exists, is actually disrupted. In short, when you're stressed, your entire intestinal lining is no longer well supplied with blood. Assume it's this thick when it's healthy. But if you're constantly stressed and there's less and less blood flow, it gets thinner and thinner, and eventually it's almost completely gone. That means your intestinal wall becomes permeable too. You then have leaky gut syndrome, you have inflammation in your intestines, you have irritable bowel syndrome, you might also have chronic inflammatory bowel diseases, and all of that just because you're stressed. And there's one more thing you need to consider. The moment your gut isn't healthy, as I said, your mood won't be good either. So you're stressed because you know your gut isn't doing well. That means even less blood flow in your gut. And that's why we have to do everything we can to restore good blood flow to your gut. And so that the gut lining, the gut wall can gradually rebuild itself. And there really is a very good way for you to achieve that. One way back to a healthy gut lining is fasting. Fasting as a reset for your gut. The good news is you can help your gut so effectively this way. And that's through targeted recovery. And for your gut, recovery really means getting better blood flow again, and you achieve that when you fast. Whether you do proper fasting, intermittent fasting, or multi-day therapeutic fasting, studies have shown that you can stabilize your microbiome and reduce your inflammation. You can lower them and regenerate the mucous membrane. During fasting, the gut barrier gets a break and has better blood flow. Old mucosal cells are broken down and replaced by new, functioning ones. And the bacterial environment also adapts accordingly. Harmful germs retreat. Beneficial ones like Akkermansia gain more space, a real reset for your gut. And of course, it's important afterwards, if you've been fasting, ideally maybe 4 days of pure fasting, that you rebuild your diet properly afterwards. Because that's crucial, how you start eating again after a fasting regimen. Namely, by first starting with a bland diet. A bland diet means steamed and pureed vegetables like carrots, pak choy, zucchini, rice, and potatoes. After that, you start eating more fiber-rich foods, but step by step. And eventually, after 2 or 3 weeks, you also start eating fermented foods. Like sauerkraut or kimchi, they help your gut to repopulate with healthy bacteria, and that's how a new balance is created, and you strengthen your immune system simply from the inside. So the conclusion is your gut needs rest and no stress. It needs rest and protection to rebuild itself. Chronic stress can completely throw your digestion out of balance. It can make the intestinal wall permeable, fuel inflammation, or even affect your emotional well-being, but you can do something about it. With mindfulness, with stress reduction, and especially through intentional fasting. This way, you give your gut exactly what it needs most. Rest, time to heal, and nourishment that strengthens it instead of overwhelming it. Your gut is your inner compass. And if you treat it well, it will keep you healthy and carry you through life for a long time. It's so important that you share this video because nobody talks about it. But now you know, so make sure to share it.